narrated by London Jackson from the website History of the Batman. Let's bring London out right now. London! There she is. You guys have fun. Enjoy. Wow. Hey, everybody.
Well, thank you all for coming to this panel. I am so excited to talk with the amazing characters of SpongeBob SquarePants. So you guys want me to bring them out here? Yeah? So we have the amazing Tom Kenny, who's the voice of SpongeBob, and Rodger Bumpass, who is the voice of Squidward. So if Tom and Rodger can come out. Here they are.
How cute!
Wow. Hey, were you there at Comic-Con when Tom beat those people with that pole? He was trying to be funny and died?
I couldn't spring for chairs.
Wow. I found Waldo! I found Waldo! Yes!
Yes! I found ya!
Well, thank you guys so much for sitting with me today. And
Thanks, London.
And I'm sure I don't speak just for myself, but for everybody. SpongeBob is such an amazing animated series. I mean, it's been around for over 20 years.
It's not animated, it's live action.
It's live action.
And filmed in front of a live audience.
Yeah.
So, going back to the very beginning, how did you two become a part of this project?
I don't remember. It's been so long. I don't know who this guy is, but I hear that we like each other very much.
I have no idea how we got together. It's one of those dating apps, I think.
Yeah, you know, I think it was a weird mixture. Like everybody's path was different. Like I think for you, Rodger, wasn't it pretty much a straight up audition situation? Like, hey, come read for this show, like you do for a million shows.
Yeah, it was just another audition. I didn't even go in to read with Stephen Hillenburg. I just went to the agent's office and sat down.
You know, trying to make the donuts.
It was another audition. It was just another audition. You go in every day. It used to be you went into your agent's office every day and you read for commercials and animation, whatever. I read it. I got the part. I did the pilot. I got a copy of it. I took it home to my family and showed it to them, and they all fell asleep.
VHS tape?
Yeah. They all fell asleep. It was only 2 years later that I actually mentioned that I worked on the show to some people on the street, and their eyes got big as saucers, and they said, "Wow, you guys are so hip!" And I didn't know that they even used that word still, and I figured we were on to something. So, and you just, oh, my flags.
Prepare to board. Yeah, it was yeah, I mean, for me, it was a little different because I had worked with Hillenburg on Rocco's Modern Life, like a early 90s Nick show. Yeah, we were just talking about that backstage, and the only reason I wound up on Rocco, going back one step further, was that Carlos Alazraqui, who voiced Rocco, he was a stand-up comedian in San Francisco, and I was a stand-up comedian in San Francisco. So we knew each other, and so when Joe Murray, the creator of Rocco, was like, hey, do you know anybody who might be right for this character? Carlos said, there's a stand-up guy named Tom Kenny that's been trying to break into voiceover forever, and he just can't. He keeps auditioning for years. I never booked a dang thing. And so then I go do Rocco's Modern Life, and the creative director on that show is this guy, Steve Hillenburg. It's his first job in animation. And then Rocco, you know, went a couple of seasons, and then it was over, like most shows are. And then Steve just was pitching a show to Nickelodeon. Like Nickelodeon, you know, wanted to hear a pitch of his, and he had this idea for this optimistic sponge and the cranky neighbor and the greedy boss, and you know, maybe a squirrel that comes from Texas that is from land and lives down there. And he pitched it to them, and he always had me in mind as the voice. Like he was like, if this thing goes, you're going to be SpongeBob. And I'm like, wow, great. You know, and it actually worked out. You know, despite Nickelodeon, I think once it was going to go, once the pilot was going to go, they were kind of pressuring him a little bit to use a celebrity, to use like an on-camera celebrity for the voice of SpongeBob. And Steve, thank goodness for me, because he changed my life, resisted the Fred Savage suggestion.
Can you imagine? And I have a show to thank for being a part of this show, and it was Cat Dog, which Tom worked out.
That's right.
I was one of the very finalists for the cat, I believe is what you played, right?
I was the dog.
The dog. Sorry. I had a 50-50 chance of getting. Anyway, I was one of the last finalists for that part, and Steve chose Tom for that. But that's how.
Well, it wasn't Steve. It was Peter Hannon.
Peter Hannon. But Steve got acquainted with what I do through that audition.
Yeah. Wow, great. Another thing I never knew.
Yeah.
Jim Cummings wound up being Cat, not the dog. And so, I guess basically what we're trying to say is that our whole careers have been a bunch of inbred, hillbilly.
I was going there.
Various shows, various series that are all cousins intermarrying and having babies. You know, it's worked out so far. Yeah, maybe I'm just having a really good 30 years. I'm never prepared to say it worked out. You know what I mean?
My contract
I'm always waiting for a shoe to drop. You know, people are like, "Hey, SpongeBob's doing pretty good." And I'm like, "Yeah, you know, for now."
I'll give it 20 years and see how it goes.
Well, Tom, you talked about how you were becoming the voice of SpongeBob. Like that was the initial thought. So how did you create the voice for SpongeBob, and how did you find the voice for Squidward to basically perfectly match their very different personalities?
Yeah, and I'll throw to Rodger, but before that, I'll say that's the strength of the show. And that was all Hillenburg, was the personalities that you mentioned. I mean, Hillenburg, it was so educational and inspiring to me to have seen this guy who knew exactly what he wanted. He held out for what he wanted. He held out for the actors that he wanted. When he didn't really have a power card to play. I mean, he was a guy, you know, he was living in, when I met Steve, he was living in an apartment, you know, down by the Beverly Center, down on Colgate. And, he wasn't a rich guy, you know, and, but he held out for his vision, but he knew who those characters were. He knew them intimately. He just knew, he felt those characters, and, you know, if you were the person that could embody the voice of that character, you were in. It didn't matter. Nothing else mattered.
That was one of the wonderful things about Steven. He had such a distinct idea of what he wanted. He didn't agonize about, should I pick this person or that character or that characteristic. He knew he had this focus of what the character should be. So apparently casting was pretty easy for him. I mean, he just did the part, and that's it.
So with Squidward, did you go through gradations of Squidward? Like, he had heard your voice from that cat dog thing, you said, and did he pretty much go, just stay in that zone, or did he tweak it? Did you guys Rubik's Cube it together?
The thing that Steven really got for me, besides the basic character, which was this nasal kind of guy, was the laugh. He had an antic that he had planned for whenever Squidward laughs, and that is his big nose, it accordions. And so there had to be some kind of a rhythmic kind of quality to it. So he came to me and said, we need to establish this signature laugh. And he told me the story, and I went, ha, 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 ha. And he stood up and he went, that's it, bye. He knew what he wanted so cleanly. He was the easiest person to work with.
And you know what? It's interesting that laughs figured so prominently to Steve. You know,
Speaking of which.
and there's SpongeBob's Laugh, which was one of the first things we came up with when SpongeBob was just a bunch of drawings in a briefcase that Steve Hillenburg had. Yeah, hey, this is this show I'm thinking of pitching, you know what I mean? What do you think? Is this stupid? And I go, of course it's stupid. It's awesome, you know? I never use stupid as a pejorative. Yeah, he goes, is this just dumb? And I'm like, it's the most beautifully, brilliantly dumb thing of all time. And then I spilled my coffee.
Now that's stupid.
Oh yeah, that's all right. I'll leave it for Doctor Who to clean up. But
It's a map of the United States.
Wow. Yes, exactly. I see an elephant having sex with a philharmonic. It's like a worship. Wow. It looks like blood. I'm like Lady Macbeth. I gotta wash my. Wow. Wow. Oh, look at you. Look, I know this was. I shouldn't have worn a white shirt, but you know, when he had the pictures on the wall and we were about to maybe record, about to do the first pass of the pilot episode, he good thing I didn't spill that next to your expensive electronic equipment, huh? Yeah, but he, the laugh. He was like, how would this guy laugh? And we had this big conversation about characters that have signature laughs, like Popeye the Sailor Man, and Woody Woodpecker, who I can't do. Yeah, so, we had a conversation about laughs. Isn't that weird? Mm-hmm. And so he was like, what do you think this guy would laugh like? And I said, well, maybe like a dolphin, like a there's that weird sound that porpoises make, like Flipper when he comes out. And he was like, wow, yeah, that. And then Mr. Krabs, like Mr. Krabs has a signature laugh.
Very similar to Popeye.
So yeah, very, very similar to Popeye, which Steve and I bonded over our love for Popeye really early on too. My favorite character, and my favorite animated character, and comic strip character too. And yeah, so Steve, he was just like, one thing I'll say about everybody that was cast in the show, Steve cast it almost like, Steve was very musical and very music-minded, and Steve cast it almost like a band, like an orchestra, like he wasn't, like he was thinking in terms of tones. So, if SpongeBob's like, and Patrick goes, duh, and Squidward is, and Sandy's like, he really did think like that. It's pretty, it was like putting, woodwinds, and I got my strings, and I got my, it was pretty amazing.
Every character, yeah, he's absolutely right, and spot on. Every character is completely distinctive. There is not one overlap of characters in there, except where it's intended to, like D. Bradley Baker does Squilliam, which is supposed to be kind of similar to my character. But everybody has that distinct coloration and tonation that makes everybody just their own category out there.
And he thought about how they would sound together, like when you butt them up against each other, like I don't know, nobody else really thinks like that, like I've never encountered anybody who thought quite that same way. I mean, we work with a lot of creative people in our careers, but Steve was just something like he just had it all, man, like all thought out. Like he was like Tolkien. He was like J.R.R. Tolkien or something, like he just had every I dotted and T crossed.
Yeah. Now you mentioned porpoises, dolphins, and whatever. I have to digress just for a moment. This is a bit of information about our one of our episodes.
I think this whole panel's been a digression.
There was an episode called Sailor Mouth, where whenever people cussed, they would dub in and put porpoise sounds and whatever things to sound. Then at the end, Clancy, Mr. Krabs, when he stubbed his toe and he goes off on a cussing binge, just remember the next time you see it, he was really cussing when we recorded the episode. I learned a lot of new words that day.
Yes, that's true, because I remember that recording session and Steve, like Clancy was going, "Ooh, rackin' frackin' rickin' ducko rackin' chicken," and Steve's like, "It's not quite flowing. Just swear. Just swear. Just say the most horrible epithets that you can think of. Just let them out.
And he did.
And we'll beep it. It's going to be beeped." So, of course, Rodger, this begs the question that I've been wondering about for years.
Where's the tape?
Where's the tape?
See, they record everything, and then they record the actual words that we're saying. So somewhere in Nickelodeon, there's this tape. And every so often...
Can one of you guys find it for me? I want a copy.
Yeah.
Someone needs to leak that tape then.
Yeah. Also, in the same vein, we have a way of recording where we do like 2 takes where that's written in the script, and then we do what's called a crazy take, where we can do whatever we want to, improv, and sometimes we go a little off color just for our own amusement. Most of the time we do that, and that's also in that same tape with Clancy Brown's cussing. So I can't. You have to take a shower after you listen to it. I'll tell you that.
I'm picturing some big Raiders of the Lost Ark warehouse, you know, with a forklift driving around, like where all the forbidden SpongeBob takes are, you know.
So
it's with the Lost Ark, you know.
So as you both discussed that each character is very distinct, and you can see that in all of the episodes. I mean, Sailor Mouth is an amazing episode. I love the pizza delivery episode because of SpongeBob.
It was such a weird day. It was one of the first days that we had ever done the show, and I was just learning Tom's character. And then he has a license, SpongeBob has a license to go out of the official sound of SpongeBob. And all of a sudden he started doing this other stuff, and I'm saying to myself, what the hell, he's not doing his character anymore. I mean, what? And then I learned, that's genius! He can be a heroic person if he wants to, but he can be all these other things. And Pussy crying, Pussy crying!
And you know where that came from? Where that came from was that I used to have a bit in my stand-up about these jingle singers that put so much emotion into singing about something really freaking stupid, you know what I mean? Yes. Sometimes I'm disappointed, but...
Oh my god!
I'll go back to sleep. Maybe things will be different when I wake up.
I have died on the internet a couple times. Have you died on the internet?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. How many times have you died on the internet?
I have died twice on the internet. There was a guy in Nova Scotia with my name, and I'm on my way to Australia, and he dies. IMDb picks this up and reports me as having died, this actor having died. I get there, and the guy that picks me up at the airport found out about it, and so he calls the airline and asks, am I on the plane? And they say, yes. And I say, did you ask, was I in the cabin or the cargo hold? Then, not 2 months later, another guy with my name in San Diego dies. I worked at a TV station back in Arkansas when I went to college. They found out about that, and they did the obituary of mine on their evening newscast. So, when I really do die, no one's going to believe it. Our football team won, and Rodger Bumpass is dead again.
Do you think that this is just an inept killer that just keeps getting the wrong Rodger Bumpass? Like, oh no!
It's the Terminator.
Yeah, exactly.
Rodger Bumpass.
Wow, who is killing all the Rodger Bumpasses?
I can only conclude that I'm the most famous Rodger Bumpass because whenever they die, and we're dropping like flies.
Wait a minute. Maybe you're the killer.
I'm the killer.
I wanted to knock off all the other Rodger Bumpasses that weren't as famous as me.
I'm the only one, see?
Well, SpongeBob has been around for 2 decades, and I'm sure, as you know, SpongeBob is popular not just with the children demographic, but also the kids who grew up with SpongeBob and now love it. And it is, SpongeBob is like an internet sensation with how us older fans enjoy it. With
Us older fans?
Me.
Yeah.
Me.
You're the same age as my socks.
But you smell better.
I would hope so. So why do you think there is this bridge between the two demographics, and how do you think SpongeBob touches all the different age groups?
I always liken it to Looney Tunes. We have a very strong similarity in those two. We're both short cartoons for one thing, but a little kid gets the joke or gets the idea because it's colors and it's moving and it's a cartoon. A little older kid, teenager, he gets a joke he didn't get when he was 5. And the same thing for adults. So it's like a parable that relates to all different types of ages and backgrounds and intellects and whatever. And so that's why there's no age limit for our show. You can say, well, I can't watch that, I'm 22 years old. Well, you know, in about a year, you're going to be nostalgic about your childhood, and you're going to start watching it again and saying, I didn't get that joke. So,
And I think also, yeah, this because SpongeBob, SpongeBob took over the world like kind of before the internet took over the world. Like it was ready, and I think that helped. Like I don't know that SpongeBob would have happened the same way if it happened in the internet age that we're still firmly in. So I think that helped it, you know. And in terms of the memes, like that's something where SpongeBob's, we've been lucky enough that SpongeBob has hung in there for long enough that the people who were kids when that came on are now the ones that control the internet. They control technology. So those people who were kids in 1999 are now taking this found art of like these weird freeze frames of SpongeBob and panels and stuff like that, and kind of Frankensteining them into a whole different thing, you know what I mean? Like found art, you know, like I always like, I have a friend who's an artist, and he's always like dumpster diving and finding like whatever, he'll find like an old typewriter and like make a crazy insect bug thing out of it, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of what SpongeBob is, that's kind of what those memes are, it's just people taking something that already existed and just curving it and morphing it into something that it really was never intended to be. But I think that's just the kids who grew up with SpongeBob took over the internet and they got skills.
Yeah, we are multi-generational.
And they're funny. You know, kids the SpongeBob audience is really funny. And I'm always amazed, I'm always really grateful, like people, you know, when adults come up to me and go, hey, a lot of my idea of humor, like stuff that I think is funny, the stuff I laugh at, was kind of coalesced by SpongeBob. And like, you know, I find people that like that same kind of humor, and those are my best friends now, like all these years later. And like, that's kind of cool, you know, it's kind of more than a show that way.
Yeah, we are multi-generational. We constantly get people at our tables saying thank you for our childhood. Those people now have kids. We are actually 3 generations now. I have seen people that grew up with us have kids, and it's been long enough, 20 years, that their kids are now having kids. And they're turning them on, you know, almost prenatally. And so just keep it going. Fresh blood, people. Fresh blood. Our plan is working perfectly.
One of us. You know, there are people that I'm pretty sure are older than me that come up and tell me that they grew up on SpongeBob.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the premiere in 1999. My parents let me stay up late.
They're so full of crap.
Well, SpongeBob obviously has such a legacy already. What do you hope as new episodes and TV shows and spin-offs and movies that continue, what do you hope continues to add to the legacy of SpongeBob?
I only hope that SpongeBob lasts a little longer than the pyramids. That's my honest hope here. We evolve, just like anything that's long term, you evolve. Character-wise, we all were kind of, except for SpongeBob, we all were kind of monotone when we first started. We had that one signature sound, I was this way, blah, 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 blah. And then as you go on, you learn and you are assigned different things to do. And you spread your wings and you flesh out the characters. Squidward is far more me now than was me doing some little cartoon character when we first started. Exactly. Which it used to be my alter ego. Now I am the alter ego. He's absolutely wonderful now.
Yeah, I would say, you know, for me, you know, it's funny. Like we're pretty simple. Our needs are pretty simple. You know, actors just want to work. You know, actors just want to act. Yeah, you know, you just want to do what you do, and money's not even you just don't want to be sitting around doing nothing. And so it's nice to be, you know, especially nowadays, you know, with COVID, like I run into actors all the time that were on TV shows and stuff like that. They're like, I haven't worked since May of 2020. And, you know, and you're like, wow, you know, we just want to work. So it's amazing, really lucky, and we're really grateful that we're on this show that's been ongoing for so long, and it's a job that we like, it's characters that we like, and the work is fun, and it's like, I mean, what a gift to be able to do something that you truly love. Like we always say, we've had this conversation. I wouldn't trade my day job with anybody.
Nobody.
Not with the biggest movie star. I wouldn't trade it. I've got a better gig than the biggest movie star. Yeah, it's better.
We don't have to go to work. We get to go to work. The old thing about love what you do and you'll never work a day in your life is absolutely true with us. And we get to see people. This is what's great about conventions, that we get to see people. We don't get to see the audience and have them say to us, "Thank you for our childhood." It's a legacy that I treasure, and I know all the cast does also.
Yeah. And Rodger, you're from Arkansas.
Yes.
I'm from East Syracuse, New York, and show business wasn't really a realistic aspiration to have. Like friends of mine that grew up in LA, you go, "Oh, I want to be an actor," and people go, "Oh yeah, my dad works on sitcoms," or "My next door neighbor's a prop guy." Or, I didn't know anybody in show business.
Nobody.
Right? And I was surrounded by well-meaning people. By the way, these people weren't jerks, but I was surrounded by well-meaning people going, they go, "What do you want to do?" And you go, "Oh, maybe I'll be a writer or a comedian or an actor." And they go, you know what you should learn to do, Tommy? Cut meat. You should learn to cut meat. Be a meat cutter. It's a union job. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. You know what I mean? Join the army. Stay in the army for 30 years. You get complete dental. And I was just going, oh my, these are nightmarish scenarios to me. And so to do something that you didn't think you'd be able to do, and that really wasn't an aspiration for anybody in your hometown, and just to be allowed to do it for a long time just feels like I feel like we keep finding a winning lottery scratcher tickets on the ground.
Yeah.
It's like,
like you said,
is like that.
I grew up in Arkansas, which is a great place to be born, grow up, and then leave.
Great place to be from.
The slogan used to be land of opportunity. Well, they got rid of that one after I left, because there's no opportunity for actors there. But it points up something that I say to people, and how I decided to become an actor was in college. I had a theatrical competition and I won something or whatever, and the director was debriefing us, and he just said this one small thing: "I look forward to watching you in professional theater." And I had never thought about actually pursuing that. No one encouraged me in Arkansas, of course. And it points up, encourage young people to do it. You have no idea what effect you're going to have with one sentence of encouragement about some sort of thing. I always tell people, you might not ruin your life, but if you have a dream, pursue it until one of two things happens. Your success, which means you get a paycheck and you get to write actor on your tax return, or you get to the point where you said, "I've given it all I can, and now I'm going to go do something else." That is not failure. People have a fear of failure. That's not failure.
Yeah, that's a viable option. Absolutely.
The only failure is not trying. So pursue your dream and encourage other young people, because you have no idea what your words will have on them. Please.
I know, so true. And it really only takes one or two of those teachers or those adults or somebody who sees some potential in you and goes, "Hey, you know what? You don't suck." Yeah, because especially as a teenager and stuff like that, like your self-confidence is not always the greatest. It's still not good. But I mean, you still have you sort of need somebody to go, "You can do this." Because you're going, "I think I can do it, but maybe I can't. I don't know. Maybe I'm just delusional." And then when a person who seems like they're in authority or whatever says, "I see something in you," like that teacher of yours, it's more gigantic than. I wonder if that person probably has no idea that little nugget that they dropped changed the roadmap of your whole life.
Yeah, they don't, because they're dead now.
Right after he said that to you, he just keeled over. I look forward to seeing you in professional theater.
And that was the first time I died, actually.
Well,
I did stand-up comedy for years. I died a lot of times.
I think what you guys are saying and telling the audience that you shouldn't give up on your dreams and fear of failure. I think anyone can take that advice.
Don't
So
listen.
it's not that-
Don't listen to those stupid voices in your head.
Right.
Don't listen
do
to those
it.
guys. Shut up. I'm going down this road.
Yes.
Whatever happens, I'm going down the road.
And I think that's actually a great way to wrap up this awesome panel, hearing those wise words from you guys. So I wanted to thank you so much. I want to thank Tom Kenny and Rodger for coming and talking with us. So your show is amazing.
I think you
all
meant to
love
say
it.
mop up. You meant to say mop up this awesome panel, right? Yeah.
Spill on table 5.
So thank you so much, and thank you to everyone for coming to the panel. And I hope you guys all have a great LA Rock.
Come to our table. He has 2
Please
tables.
go to the table. Say hi.
I'm expecting guests. I'm having Miss Hoopley over for dinner.
Thank you guys so much for attending.
We never did the voices, did we? SpongeBob, don't be stupid somewhere else.
Oh my God! We should have done the whole panel in that laugh.